password here, so I'm going to cancel. Then you just use the import menu to locate the sandbox image, the 20 gigabytes files for the Hortonworks data platform sandbox. And you just click next. It will be screen like this. By default, it puts CPU and RAM. It will run smoothly by at least putting 10 gigabytes of RAM, and then you can just leave everything by default and then click import and wait. Then you just click on the sandbox. When it's finished importing, then you can click start. And another thing you need to be careful is enabling VTX or AMD acceleration. So VTX is if you have Intel processor, it should be enabled in BIOS in your computer. So if you don't have this enabled, you should restart your computer, go to your BIOS setting and enable that. The setting could be a little bit different. You can Google your computer brand and enabling this. So for example, enabling VTX on HP computer or something like that. Then you can try this again if you have errors saying this is not enabled. Okay, and then you just wait until it's finished starting and show your welcome screen. Okay, then you can do the things like in the slide, you can open localhost to see this UI in your browser. And the first time you log in into this shell in a box, it will ask you to reset your password. So you should do that first. So I think the default password is Hadoop. Then you can also check on Ambari. Okay. Let's go back to the slide. Okay, so it will show something like this. And after changing your root password, the next thing you can do is you should change your Ambari admin password. So the Ambari user to log in is admin. So you just change the password by doing this. Okay, I'll give you a few minutes to do those things and you can share if you have problem. And then we will look at Ambari features again. Okay, any question or problem? If there's no question or problem, we'll go back to look at the more Ambari features. Okay, so next service, we can see yarn. So it's all green check mark. So it's working fine. There's only one node manager, one yarn client. So you can also click the quick links UI here. Let's check resource manager UI. So we change this to localhost. Sorry. So here you will be able to see the how many resource is used by other people, how many jobs have been completed or killed or failed, how many jobs running. So for now, there's no job running. You can see in the queue. You can see application that has been submitted. So there's Spark Zeppelin that Hanif ran. It's 100%, so it's finished. You can see the state, some finished and some killed. So we have one nodes. Node status active. Okay. So next, there's MapReduce. We're probably going to use test instead of MapReduce for. Let's see what we can see. So there are a lot of ports used by this sandbox. So all services are just running here on many different ports. You don't need to memorize them. You just click on the links from Ambari. So you can see these jobs ran for 12 seconds. So very fast. Then there's Hive. Also, there's a config, but this is for when you have been. This is a little bit advanced to do configuration, so probably you should not change anything here unless you have already familiar. So you can change parameters for Hive and other things here. Okay, so I think that's enough. So this here Ranger, and you probably will explain this later. So there's also a Zeppelin notebook. There's some example here that we will do later. So this is just like a Jupyter notebook. Okay, and after services, you can see the host. So if you have many nodes, you can see the list here. So actually from the 10 gigabytes of RAM we allocated to the sandbox, the one Hadoop got is 9 gigabytes. So the rest is for the Linux operating system. And this is the Hadoop version. We have 54 components. And it's alert. So it will show something, some alerts here. So we have one about OZ server status. Oh yeah, and also from Ambari you can do start all services, stop all, restart required. You can do that to individual services too. There's an action button to stop, restart, rebalance SDFS. So this is if you have multiple data nodes, you want to share the burden of the storage the same between all nodes. You can start the rebalance command here. So not all storage will be on a certain nodes, so that all that storage burden is spread evenly between data nodes. You can also do that from the host. So there's an action here to start all component, restart all component. You can also add new hosts. So if you're adding new nodes, you can add them here, like in the installation wizard we see yesterday. Okay, there's a cluster administration. You can see the installed version of the services. Maybe sometimes you need to check on this version to look for troubleshooting. So you can look for troubleshooting on Google to the exact version that you have. And some services are not installed, you can click add service if you need the services. So for example, here we don't have Kerberos installed. This is the one for security. And this is the list of service account. We can set different password for each of these. And so here is optional. This is, you probably don't need to do this on a development, but you should do this on your production server. Okay. I think we covered most of Ambari features. Also here you can click on setting. Oh, you can change your time zone. You can also click on manage Ambari. You can add users. So this is added from the beginning by the sandbox. So the Ambari administrator called admin. You can change password here. You can set the privileges. You can add users. Any question? Let's go back to the slide. Okay, we have explored Ambari features. Okay, in a few minutes, I will give the floor to Hanif to show you how to do things from Zeppelin, the Zeppelin notebook where you can do many things like importing data from SQL Server, doing some query, and some troubleshooting with security authorization. So before that, I can show you a little bit about the immigration data processing we have at BPS. I can show you a little bit this immigration data. So we take data from Immigration Directorate General. We have an agreement with them since 2018. And actually we can take their data daily, but we do the calculation monthly to produce the tourism statistics. So we take this data to SQL Server and then into Hadoop. Okay, let's see a little bit of that. So another tool you can install is MOBA Xterm. This is to do SSH, but it's optional. You can just use any other tools. So if you're interested, you can just Google MOBA Xterm. Just download and click next to install by default. Just take the free version. Okay, so Kerberos is enabled here in, so you need to take the ticket by running Kinit, and you can call Hive. so fast. We can see what database we have. So we'll use imigrasi. And we can show the tables. There's a lot of tables here. Inbound, outbounds. Arrival. So here is the year month for the arrival. So let's see some example from this table. So lost here the length of stay of the foreigner tourists. Let's see this one, latest month. So this is from 2021, and the fifth month, which is May. Let's see. It's not good enough to see. So there's some visit from Australia. So let's see the record. So it's only 19,000 records during the month May 2021, the foreigner arrival to Indonesia. So time taken 0.005 seconds. So here you see there's compiling comments 0.08 seconds. This is where the Hadoop system translates your query into MapReduce jobs. This is the comments, and this is where it executing comments. So if your comments is more complex, this time taken would be longer. And let's see if we see last year before the COVID-19 pandemic, we should see more records. Let's see, January 2020, we have 400,000 records. So we see a lot of drops. It's still the same 0.08 seconds to compile the command and 0.005 seconds to execute the command. Okay, I think that's enough from me for now. I will have can give the floor to Hanif to continue explaining and showing you about the Zeppelin notebook configuration and some action, and feel free to ask any question. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. I can hear your voice clearly.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I will in this today for the second day of Hadoop Big Data and Hadoop software in hands-on days. I will continue the materials and start from the Zeppelin notebooks. Maybe Mr. Sinung, my friend, has been tell you about how and before we can use Zeppelin notebook, I will I will tell you about Zeppelin is not not so different with Jupyter notebook, which we all already know it's about notebook in Python. But in Zeppelin, we use it because there are many interpreters that supported within in there. There are Spark interpreter, and then cell command interpreter, and then GDBC from Postgre, MySQL till the Hive GDBC. And don't forget, if we want to execute Python or R in Zeppelin, don't worry, the Zeppelin is can handle it too. So before we use these tools, let's we configure the interpreter first. I suggest you to configure the interpreter because uh, because the default interpreter in Zeppelin is not so much. I'm sorry. This one. Uh, and one of them that not included in this sandbox is the cell interpreter. Okay, I will show you how to add the cell interpreter. Okay, stop share screen. Okay, I'm sorry. And before we go to Zeppelin, we can open the Ambari where my friend has been explained how to access Ambari. You can open from, wait a minute, there is loading process. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, I will minimize the minimum the tab. Okay, we will start from Ambari UI. Open this URL in your computer, localhost 180, and if this splash screen is opened, you can choose the Ambari hyperlink, and don't forget to enter the credential. And we can navigate to navigation menu in the left side of this screen of or the Zeppelin. Okay, I will continue. This is the Zeppelin notebook. It's below the Spark 2 service or this stop the upper part from Data Analytics Studio. Just click the menu and the Zeppelin notebook service is operated in the right side, in the main side of the side, navigation side menu. Then move your cursor to the right, quick links, and that is the Zeppelin UI. Just click it. Oh, you can, this is not error, just rename it to local host. Don't change the port. And then you have already logged in to Zeppelin with the username Anonymous. Okay. Before I continue, in general, if we deploy the Ambari not using the sandbox, uh, usually we must to enter the credential. But because this is a sandbox, it's automatically set up to anonymous user. Oh, because and we can see clearly that in this mode, the Zeppelin mode in sandbox mode, there are no logout button. So during we use Zeppelin, the Zeppelin will identify we as anonymous. Okay, let's start to interpreter configuration. Hmm, okay, I will I will I will show you from the first how to unstable stable internet. Okay, in the last slide, we need to create the cell cell interpreters. If we want to ensure, you can type the cell. There are no any interpreter already, so we can create the new one by type in the interpreter name field. Up to you for the interpreter name, but in my place, I just type cell and then the interpreter group. I choose the ASSS is the acronym of cell, and then wait a minute. Okay, this one. I will change this properties of cell, where it means I will increase the timeout of cell comments, where the default is 1 minute, because we all already know that uh, in common the time execution is must be more or must be except 1 minute. Minimum is 3 until 5 minutes. Because of that, I will multiply this into, let's say, 10 minutes. Just put 1 0 before the 6 or any position. So we have the new timeout 10 minutes. Okay, 10 minutes or no? Sorry. Wait. Yes, this is the right. Default. No. Yes, this one. Hello. Why? Wait. Screen is lost. Disappear. Okay. You just type the 900 and 1,000 milliseconds. It's about 10 minutes. Just save it and you type it, the interpreter, and you have the cell interpreter. With cell interpreter, we can use operation like in the command cell, like list directory, read the file, do the HDFS command, do scope command, and many more. Okay, we take a look some interpreter that has been created before. There are Angular, there are GDBC, there are Livitu, and then Markdown interpreter is just to Markdown like cascading style sheet. And then there are cell, then Spark 2, and yes, that's just that it. Let me see. Is there any interpreter? Oh, we don't have what it is Python in here because uh, as long as I remember or I recall that we can add the Python interpreter, but it take a lot of time because we must install first the Python in the sandbox, and then we must configure in the Ambari and any more. There are some steps, so we just use interpreter in here, and then let's be back to the slide because we have done set the interpreter. Okay. I will continue from this. Next slide is we have done the interpreter configuration. Okay, we will play in the I'm sorry. We will use Zeppelin from the beginning by create the new node, and then you can specify the node name up to you. And for the interpreter, you can set the default to cell. for the first time we can set the cell, but if you want to change it for daily usage, it's up to you. You can set to Spark 2 of GDBC is up to you, but for this hands-on, you can set to cell. Uh, Before I continue to the Zeppelin user interface, let's see what we will do in the Zeppelin notebooks. Eh, wait. The first one, we will try to list all directories and files with cell interpreter. It means uh, uh, we want to know the local directory in our sandbox and the HDFS directory in our sandbox too. So there are differences. And then for the second paragraph, we will create the directory in the HDFS, not in the local directory. Uh, and for your information, okay, we will achieve these two hands-on. Okay, let's move to the Zeppelin UI. Okay, I will open my notebook. Yes, my notes names is practice one, and you can rename your notes by double click it or up to you. And then before we go further, I will show you the overall interface of Zeppelin in one notes. In below, how I can tell you this parts. What I highlight is one paragraph. So as we can call the first paragraph is have title basic list all directories and files. And for the second paragraph, we have create directory for practice ASEAN stat. The name is ASEAN stat. Okay, you can try in your Zeppelin by type it for the first paragraph. Don't forget to specify the interpreter. The interpreter is cell. It's SH. You can type SH and then if you have done okay, I will show you what happened when okay, I'm sorry. I will try to run the shell command for local directory by click this button, the run button or play button, or you can just press shift enter. Let's say we click this button. Oh, wait a minute, there is error, either no interpreter name. Oh, If you face this error, it means our notebook is not binded to cell interpreter. So the troubleshoot is you can choose this one, the gear interpreter binding in the right top of the Zeppelin UI. Why? And then make sure the cell interpreter is active and it is in active status by click the cell interpreter. This is the inactive, this is active, and don't forget to save it, just that, and then we can run again. Oh, why still? Okay, if the problem is still there, you can restart the interpreter by click this button. You can see in this display, you click the restart of cell interpreter, click OK, and let's see. I save it, and let's see. I hope it runs well. Okay, we have seen that the result of execution 3 command is already show up in here. The first one is where we are in home Zeppelin, and there is 2 file in here. Okay, let's see if we execute the HDFS command. Let's say for the second one, it will for the first one is not it's not doing recursive, but if we choose the if we put option R, the list directory will be recursive to the subchildren, to the sub level. Let's see the difference by run it. Okay, in my display in my monitor, we can see. I'm sorry. Let me comment this second DFS comment. Okay, if we don't specify the R, it will not recursively list in here. Just show up the configuration folder, notebooks, and tests. And the trash spark staging is the directory that created automatically by the Hadoop services. Don't worry about the trash past tagging till the staging. Okay. Oh yes. Maybe maybe this is new for you. The HDFS comment. The HDFS comment is always started by type the HDFS and then followed by DFS, and then you can specify what kind of comment you want to do. In here we want to list the directory and the files. Okay, we will put the R option, and then we can see there are more rows shown in here because we specify the recursively option. You can see the notebooks of Zeppelin is already in there. Okay, maybe it's enough. Is there any question for the first paragraph? Is anyone to face error or problem? You can raise a hand. Okay, it looks like there are no trouble or problem. We can continue for the second paragraph. Second one is looks like easy, where we will create the directory for practice, where we can put the file in that directory. We will create directory and the name is ASEAN start. I will zoom out, zoom in the browser so you can see clearly. Okay, this is the second paragraph. Okay, let's see. The comment is mkdir, and then followed by the name of directory, ASEAN start. And for the second comment is to check whether the comment is successful or not. If you have done type it, you can run it. Let's say I will try to run it. Okay, it looks like the creation of ASEAN start directory is successfully. Why we can say successful? You can see in below there is the ASEAN start directory belongs to between the configuration directory, notebooks directory, and test directory. If there aren't any ASEAN start directory, it can be filed. But I can guarantee it's successful, 100% successful. Okay. And then I will stop it and I will continue to wait a minute. We have already tried the basic of HDFS cell command. Okay, we will try to another command that support in Zeppelin is the scope import. Maybe you already done it by the previous material by Mr. Sinu, my friends. And in Zeppelin, you can do it well too. And let's say in my session, we will try to execute, we will try to hands-on two scope imports, and we will try to check the output. The first one is to check the scope query or the connection is valid. And for the second one is the, what is it? Is the syntax for ingest the data from SQL Server to Hadoop, become HDFS file. And the third one, we will try to create the HDFS files of marketplace. Okay, maybe enough for the slide. I will change to the hands-ons. Okay. Okay, wait. Slide. Yes. The first one, we want to test the connection to database. Okay, before we go to the hands-on, I will try to open the SQL Server Management Studio. I forget to open it. You want to know how many tables in there and the structure in that database. As you can see, we choose the databases nodes, and then we choose marketplace, and then we choose the tables directory. And we can see there are 4 tables from marketplace data, master area, master category, and then master subcategory. If you want to make sure, you can just select top 1000 rows, and we can see the sample of the data of the marketplace data tables, and you can do the same thing to master area, and then master category, and for the last one, master subcategory. Okay, before I continue, it looks like same with the previous session. If you follow this series session of this because we use the same data, but the structure is little bit different, but still we can use. Okay, maybe enough for the introduction to identify the marketplace data. And then let's say we continue to Zeppelin again. And then let's say we want to check the connection before we import the data. So the check the connection is the essential part of scope. Then let's make sure your connection is good by using scope eval. Don't use scope import to test the connection. Okay, scope eval, and then you, I'm sorry, scope eval. You can put the connect what's it properties with the connection string, and you can specify the IP of the SQL Server, the port, and the database name. In here, I use the marketplace. I define it marketplace, and then you must type the username. Eh, you type the username. Don't forget the double strip, and then user followed by dot username, and then space, and you type your username. Uh, in here, I use the ASEAN Stat for the credential. I'm sorry, I can not find the good configuration for Windows authentication in SQL Server. If you not already use the credential for ASEAN Stat, you just scan back to SQL Server Management Studio, and you can see in the screen here, choose login, choose security, then open the logins, right click, new login, and put the new user, maybe same, you can follow me like this, and don't forget to change the option from Windows authentication to SQL Server authentication, and don't forget you must define the password. In this case, I choose the same ASEAN Stat, and then confirm password ASEAN Stat, Asian Stat, and uncheck enforce. Okay, don't click OK now, but click the default database to marketplace, and then don't click OK then. Don't click OK, but choose the user mapping in this left side, upper left side. Choose user mapping, and then choose the database. Click map like what I did. Check the map of marketplace database. You can specify the default schema or not. Is not mandatory. And then in the bottom part, just click the DB owner. Why DB owner? Because you want to do wide area of operation this database, just click OK. Oh, if you firstly ever create the ASEAN stat username, you will not face this problem because I have create the username. I just choose OK and then cancel. It is up to you. You choose to create ASEAN stat or other username, a user of secure server. Okay, let's be back to the Zeppelin. For the to test the connection to database, after we specify the GDBC, after we specify the connection string, specify the username, specify the password. Don't forget to specify the query. Don't forget to type the double strip and then followed by query, and then specify the query. You can specify, you can type this, select all from DBO marketplace data, or you can and count the rows as total count. Let's see, if you already type the query, just click run. Okay, don't worry about the warning, the first warning of Akumulo. Just ignore it. Okay, if this success, you can see the output below. There is the total rows of marketplace data tables. But it means we just execute this query, not put it into ADFS or have table or any other data data store. Let's say we try to select all from the SQL Server database, and we will see if we have okay. Why error? Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, what is it so take too long? Okay, if the connection is good or with set state defined right, the output is will be shown below like this. And we can see the data of marketplace data the province, the category till the offset. And don't worry if there is a warning below that said the output is truncated to 102 for 100,040 bytes because mm, uh, this is the output limit from Zeppelin cell interpreter output limit. So if you want to see more the outputs, just increase the Zeppelin interpreter output limits. I will show you, but not. I will just show how to accomplish that. Click interpreter in the top right menu, then click interpreter, and then type the cell and find the output limits. Oh, because there are any field properties, so we can just insert the new one from the new properties by by click edit. Where is edit? This one, the edit button, and then find new properties. Put the Zeppelin interpreter output limits like this, like that, and specify how much you will need. Okay, just skip it. But if you want to know, I have show you where you can accomplish. Okay, let's skip it. Let's get back to the scope import. We have already test the connection to database. So we can do the import or ingesting the marketplace data tables to the ASEAN stat directory. You can copy the wait a minute. So big in here. This one. Oh no. This is wrong. It's wrong. Where is it? You can see in the monitor the scope import command is by specify the scope and then followed by import, followed by connect and the connection string, same as previous one, and then specify the username and the password, and don't forget specify the table name from a SQL server. In here I choose the marketplace data table, and then specify where we will store the data in HDFS directory, because we want to store it in ASEAN stat. So just type it like this: /user /zeppelin /ASEAN stat and /marketplace data. We must to type the marketplace data in my marketplace data directory because there is a convenience in Hadoop. If a single data that represent a table will be good if it's organized to a directory. It means one tables, one directory, just simple as that. And then to check if the job is successful, we can say we type this command hdfs dfs strip ls strip r option recursive to directory of the ASEAN stat. Okay, let's say you have already typed it in your sandbox. Then click the enter. And it will show the process of cell execution, HDFS cell execution. Oh yes, looks like I forgot to tell you. There are some signs of zeppelins. If there is a progress bar in here, or there is a notification running, blah 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 percentage, it means the process of the execution is still in process. It will is successful if the percentage reach 100%. Oh, the output is so in the long form. You can scroll it down. Okay, let's see. Oh, it used prejuice, and we can see in the still running. Take time. By the way, if by we can see the progress by copy the URL below. Yeah, URL this URL. It's the URL to track the job is blah 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 proxy application blah blah blah. Just copy it. Open into new. Aduh. Oops, not a problem. Localhost. Yeah. Okay, change again. Localhost. 880 and voila and my previous job is already success, but it's strange. Success and complete. Hmm. Oh yes, the process is already success. Okay, we have already ingest the data from SQL Server to HDFS directory, ASEAN HDFS directory. So we can see its tab from single table is become a single file in here. It's called part strip m strip 0000. The success file is just a flag that indicates the success, the ingestion is successful. The size is 0, so just ignore the success file. If you don't see the part strip m strip 0000 file, it means there are errors in the process. You can repeat again. You can repeat again by click the run. Okay, but if you don't have any problem, let's move to the next paragraph where we will to try to read the HDFS file of marketplace data. We want to know, is it true the data can be read easily by the user, or we can read it easily. You can type the like this, like the sound in the monitor, the display. You type the cell interface, interpreter, and then you type SDFS, DFS, cat command, and specify the directory where the files stored. The file stored in user Zeppelin / ASEAN stat / marketplace data. If you want to fully you read, you just type the previous paragraph and put it in this paragraph. Just that, but don't forget to put the double quote to avoid some error, and then just run it, and voila, the data is shown below. The data is ingested to HDFS using CSV, the default format that we don't have. If we don't choose the format in scope. So in scope, we can specify the format of the file, the output file format. The default is CSV, or you can choose another type of file such as JSON, Afro, or maybe Parquet, or maybe RC file and the ORC file, or maybe the last one is the sequence file. It's up to you to choose the file formats, but in our advice or suggestion, the efficient file formats you can reach is by using the PARC or the ORC file, because both of them, the compression is so high. It can reduce until 30%. You can compress it until 30%. But if you choose the default format or CSV, the size is same as big as original data, like this one, the marketplace data. Okay, let's continue for the marketplace data. You can see in here, if we ingest the data to HDFS file, become HDFS file, the header of the table is not shown in here. Why? Because this is the behavior of scope. Don't expect too much or try harder to import the column. We can see in the SSMS. Where is it? Marketplace data. You can see in here, the column header is already in here, but if you ingest the data to HDFS file, just HDFS file, the header column is not imported, because the scope import that we specify in previous paragraph is not import the metadata. So that's why you can see the HDFS file like in the SSMS. But it doesn't mean it's not useful. Why? Because you can use this file format using by Spark. Yes, the Spark, because the Spark can read the Hive table or read the file. And up to you, is in about your needs. But if you choose the mode of Spark is read the files, don't forget to specify the schema. But if you choose Spark read the Hive table, you have the advantage because the Hive give the metastore before it's on, because before it display to the user. I will show you for the next stage. But let's continue this one. After we can read the HDFS files of marketplace data, we want to import all tables from marketplace database. Before we import all tables, there is a behavior of scope import. The behavior is if you already ingest the data to Hadoop, it cannot be override, or in another words, the process will be violent. So I will specify the remove directory of marketplace data. You can see in here, I specify the command remove ADFS, the HDFS, DFS, strip RM, option recursive to one lower level of ASEAN stat directory. Don't remove the ASEAN stat, but the one level below of ASEAN stat. And then you can continue by specify scope, import all tables, the connect with the connection string, username, password, and don't forget you specify where is the data will be stored with the properties warehouse strip dir like in the screen, and the location is like this: /user /zeppelin /ASEAN stat slash, and then don't forget to specify the number of mapper. In my case, in this session, we simply use number in the sorry, the degree of mapper 1 by 1. You can choose 2 or you can choose 3 or any more. But because the data is so not so big, just put 1, only one number of one mapper. And to check the data, is it successful or not, just type HDFS, SDFS, DFS, strip LS, strip R, and then /user /zeppelin /ASEAN stat. Okay, let's run. There is technical difficulty.
Okay, how's everyone doing? Does anyone have a problem following the steps? Yeah. Is there any question? So Hanif told me he has some problem to take care of for a moment. Probably we can take a break if everyone agree. If there's no question.
Yeah, I think we can take a break for 50 minutes. So we can back to start again in 10:37. Okay. Good day, everyone. Let's start to continue the training. Pak Hairul, I saw your message. Do you still have the problem on the installation? Okay, so while waiting the response from Pak Hairul, maybe BPS Indonesia can continue the presentation, please. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I will continue where Hanif left off before with the practice with the Zeppelin. So unless you have any question or problem that we need to address. So I think last time we have successfully do the data import from SQL Server to the Hadoop sandbox. So let's zoom. Okay, so I have zoomed in the browser. So here you should use the IP address of your local Windows machine because the local host is also used by the Hadoop sandbox. So we need to avoid conflict. If we use localhost, it will not be successful connection. Okay. Okay, so this is, I think, the last comment. Here's the output. We see how many records retrieved. The reduce progress. Okay, so there we have imported the marketplace data table, master area 2, and master category. Okay, next we check the content of each data in HDFS files. So the hashtag here is comment. If you put it before the comment, it will not be run. So we will run this one by one by putting the hashtag. So here we will run the ones without the hashtag. Okay, so this is the DFS command to check the content of this directory in HDFS. Then we can do the same with the other data by commenting the others and remove the hashtag, the comment on the one that we want to run. And we click run. So this is an excerpt of the master area. Next, master category. Okay, is there? And the last one. Okay, it's there too. Okay, so the data from SQL Server is successfully imported to the HDFS. Okay, next. We will convert the HDFS files into a Hive table. So as we explained before, Hive is an SQL interface on top of Hadoop system. So before we will be able to do SQL query, we will need to create the Hive table from the HDFS files. So we have prepared this for you. I think you can copy paste this from the slide. And we can just try run it. Okay, here's the run button. Scroll down to see the output running. So it's finished. So this is to create an external table. So it will store the table metadata in Hive, but the file will stay in HDFS. So it's successfully run. There's a marketplace database here in Hive. Okay, here the table name, master area. Okay, next. Next, we will try to ingest the table master area from SQL Server to Hive table. Okay, here we will use scope. And here, sorry. Here we need to remove these previous files first, because if it's already exists, it will have some conflict. So we need to drop this first before running this import again using scope. So scope is the tool for importing and exporting data to Hadoop. So here, instead of importing to SDFS and then creating table into Hive, we do the import automatically into Hive. Let's try to run it. It's still running. Let's scroll down to the output. Running scope. Yeah, it says setting your password on the command line is insecure. So if you use this instead of putting up your password, it will ask for your password after you enter this command. So that way, if there's someone beside you, they cannot see your password. Here we, for ease of use, we just put the password here. Okay, I think it's finished running. Let's scroll the output. Okay, it's transferred some bytes in some seconds. That takes 34 records. And then it's loading the data into Hive. Loading uploaded data into Hive. Okay. Completed compiling commands, executing commands, loading data in this part into this table. So this is the important part. It's loading data from SDFS to the Hive table. So Hive import complete. It's putting a lot of information. Okay, we're still scrolling. Okay, that's the end of the output. Okay, next we will check the content in the Hive table. So first we describe the table, then we check the rows. Okay, there. This, the first output is from the describe command. There's a column name and data type. There's some error. Cannot find this directory, or it's fine. I think this is because we haven't changed this in our host file, so this should be a local host. Let's try to see it using all the tools. Here we can see our query history, database. It even give you a suggestion. Let's try. Okay, execute. Zoom out a little bit. There's some null records. Okay, here's the data. It probably keeps some null records from previous unsuccessful process. So here we can see some data. So once your data is inside, probably you can use this tool, the Data Analytics Studio. Okay, we go back to Jacqueline. Next, we ingest master category into Hive table. It's running. It's in the browser again. So feel free to raise hand or typing into the chat box if you have any question. Okay, still running. Oh, Pak Hairul from Brunei, it's okay. No problem. Thank you for confirming. Submitted the application. Let's see Amari dashboard while it's running. It seems there's problem with the Ambari matrix service. So the job succeeded. It seems still running. Yeah, it makes sense. We run 3 tables. I think here the marketplace data, master category, and master subcategory. So I think 1 or 2 has finished, and maybe we need to wait just 1 more. Okay, I think it's done. Took 7 minutes. Okay, next we'll check again the content in Hive table. Let's zoom in the browser again. Okay, let's see. This is just standard SQL. So we change into this JDBC connection in the interpreter of Zeppelin. Okay, it's finished. There's the table. And that's the content. Okay. I think that's the end of uh, practice one notebook. Okay, is there any question or problems? Okay, let's see. There's something honey prepared for practice two. And that's practice three. Okay, let's see practice two. So here's a basic query using Hive table. Yeah, we see some. Then we can do some join. Let's see if this take longer. Ah, it's running. Okay, I think it's finished. So it's using the category code to join the data. So it's probably just like what you did before with the SQL Server, but we are doing it on Hadoop. So it should not be different that much unless your data is so big, and should be faster on Hadoop when your data is so big. When your data is so small, maybe it's easier with SQL Server. Okay, next here we can count the average offset. So looks like this run longer than previous query. So as we explained before, the more complex your query, it will take longer to compile, to translate the query into MapReduce jobs. And then this is the last one. To get top 5 subcategory that has highest total offset. So let's check back on the slide. We did some Hive query. So the last part is about using Spark. This one is still running. So the more complex your query and the bigger your data, you need to be more careful about your query and how you structure your data to make it efficient. So next, if you want to use the Spark, there's some configuration. This will be in the practice tree in the notebook. You need to enable some policy on, wait. So this was the last query on Hive. And then this is where you want to use Spark. So Spark here should be faster because it is in memory processing. So these are the configuration. Also, we need to allow some our anonymous user to use the Spark interpreter. And allow the access. So I'm still running for 8 minutes. Mhm. It seems we cannot run this out on different tabs. It's not responding. Maybe still running that one. Okay. Okay, I think we can conclude the practice here. Feel free to ask any question. I'm returning the floor to the host. Thank you.
Thank you, BPS Indonesia. So, I think if MS still have any question, please ask to BPS Indonesia. We still have around 20 minutes. I think the problem on Brunei also already fixed after the restart. And then if there is no any question, I would like to say thank you to the BPS Indonesia as the trainer and other IMS as the participant for your participation in this workshop. We still have last day of the workshop for this part tomorrow. But for tomorrow, in the beginning, it will be much for the data scientist and data engineer first, and then it will be break out. So it will be little different, but in your side, there is no difference. So tomorrow in the beginning is much because they will have the closing remark first in the beginning. So thank you. Let's finish the workshop and for today and continue again in tomorrow morning. Thank you, BPS Indonesia and good day, stay healthy and stay safe.